Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold. Hope you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. Plenty of stuff going on, I think. I don't know if we'll get to a full hour, but some interesting rabbit holes that kind of went down this morning digging into the news. So we'll have some fun with it. But how's the chat doing? See a lot of the regulars in here. Make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up. Trump was supposed to do, or he is doing an announcement today. He announced it yesterday, like, oh, tomorrow President Trump will be doing a major announcement. And typically when they do that, it always ends up being kind of a, I don't know, like a dud, like we all want the big disclosure and exposure announcement from Trump, but we never seem to get it. I think I said last time on Baseless, it's going to be like new trade deal or something. Well, it turns out it is the announcement, at least that's what everybody's reporting, the announcement of the headquarters move of Space Command to Alabama. And this turns out to be a soft little devoproof. Maybe not even a soft one, maybe a hard one, a medium one. We'll talk about it. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Before we do that, let's get a quick word from our sponsors of today's show. First up, we got Vanman. These guys are great. Vanman's taking down big toothpaste with all natural oral care, just pure effective ingredients for a healthier smile. The Van never stops. Now you can try Vanman's new chewing gum as an all-natural alternative to traditional chewing gum with none of the synthetics and plastics found in the big name gum. Instead, it has all the tools to remineralize your teeth and keep them healthy. Powered by hydroxyapatite, nature's secret weapon, loaded with minerals like eggshells and bone, two of the best forms of calcium to remineralize teeth and build strong bone tissue, Vanman's tooth powder combined with poinose and peppermint aloe mouth rinse is truly the ultimate fluoride-free dental hygiene bundle that saves you 25% off the individual prices. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv/Vanman to hop in the van for the ultimate way to care for your teeth naturally. That's badlandsmedia.tv/Vanman. Awesome. Those are two tough words I didn't execute very well. Remineralize and hydroxyapatite. So might be a rough show today. We'll see. But next up, we got Attire. These guys are great. Make sure you get some of their merch. Check out the ad here.
Howdy, Badlanders. Looking for something new to grab from your friends at Badlands Media and Attire? Summertime is here. We got you covered. All new tank tops for men and women, featuring new iterations of the Devolution design in black, red, white, and even blue and green digital camo. Sick. We got them for Psywar and Clown World too. How about these bad boys? Psywar, Clown World, and Devolution beach towels to help you spark up a conversation with your new best friend or future spouse at the pool. And by popular demand, we've got all new athletic women's leggings that'll have you red pilling all the ladies in your Pilates class, whether they like it or not. Too bad. This is Badlands, baby, and we're strapped. Get some and support the new media parallel economy as much as fucking possible at badlandsmedia.tv/rise.
All right. A couple of fun comments in the chat that I saw. First of all, Truth Lab says I just ordered gum from the Vanman. Make sure you guys use our link so we get credit for that. Ricky Irish says, I used to take candy from the Vanman. Kind of surprised you're still alive if you actually did that. Dixie Bell was watching Baseless Conspiracies from last night. Can't wait to hear what he says. Yeah, the guy was a wealth of knowledge. We were talking before the show, and he's got a really, really good dig on this stuff, and I think he's onto something. I think he just got a little nervous, and plus with Zach there and me there, and we were all kind of like going in different directions. I think it kind of it took away from what he wanted to kind of get across. And so next week when we do the second part of this, we're going to kind of let him dictate how he wants to lay it out, and I think it'll flow a lot better. And I think everybody will kind of get on the same page with what he's talking about. Kathy AA says, I'm very happy about Space Force coming to Alabama. Let's talk about that. But first, before we do, real quick, no update on the Doge website. No surprise there. No update on the presidential website either. I'm still waiting for that executive order on, mandating voter ID in elections and no mail-in ballots. That is rumored to be coming sometime soon. But yeah, the big announcement was this one, or this is what it's coming. I think it's this afternoon. Trump will announce Space Command is moving from Colorado to Alabama. President Donald Trump, let me resize this here. President Donald Trump's administration will announce on Tuesday that the U.S. Space Command will be located in Alabama, reversing a Biden-era decision to keep it at its temporary headquarters in Colorado, according to two people familiar with the announcement. Trump is expected to speak Tuesday afternoon, and he will give the new location, according to the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity, to confirm the plans ahead of the official announcement. A Pentagon website set up to live stream the remarks describes the event as a U.S. Space Command HQ announcement. The president will be making an exciting announcement related to the Department of Defense. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, Space Command's functions include conducting operations like enabling satellite-based navigation and troop communication and providing warning of missile launches. Alabama and Colorado have long battled to claim Space Command because it has significant implications for the local economy. The site also has been a political prize, with elected officials from both Alabama and Colorado asserting their state as the better location. So, first off, Space Command is not to be confused with Space Force. Space Force does happen to be the primary, military branch within Space Command. But if you look at the list of combatant commanders, which we've talked about this in the Devolution series and whatnot, these are all of them. Space Command is the one on the outside. They deal with all the things pretty much related to space, but it isn't necessarily exclusively Space Force. So I just want to point that out. This is Space Command, not Space Force, even though there's a lot of overlap. What's interesting about this move, that Trump is now once again making this announcement of moving Space Command to Alabama, is me just saying it there once again. He did this before. One of the last things he did before leaving office in 2021, January 13th of 2021, was to select Alabama, Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, as the location for the U.S. Space Command headquarters. So I think it was in the summer of 2020, they opened up like a bidding process where all the states could submit a location, and they narrowed it down. And I think the top three places, they were all Republican conservative states, but they selected Redstone Arsenal. On behalf of the Secretary of Defense, they selected Redstone Arsenal. The Department of Air Force conducted both virtual and on-site visits to assess which of 6 candidate locations would be best suited to host U.S. Space Command headquarters based on factors related to mission, infrastructure capacity, community support, and costs. Huntsville compared favorably across more of these factors than any other community, providing a large qualified workforce, quality schools, superior infrastructure capacity, and low initial and recurring costs. Additionally, they offered a facility to support the headquarters at no cost while the permanent facility is being constructed. There's a bunch of other ones. The Department of the Air Force anticipates making a final decision for the location of U.S. Space Command headquarters in spring of 2023, pending the results of the required environmental impact analysis. Colorado Springs, Colorado remains the provisional headquarters until the permanent location is ready to support the mission. So right off the bat, like, this was already something that Trump was going to be doing, moving it down to Alabama. And sorry, I just got to save something here quick to show you guys this. I got to get it pulled up here, so just give me a second. Where am I at here? Okay, here we go. So that was number one. Biden gets in there, and Biden ends up rescinding Trump's decision to move it to Alabama. Some officials said Alabama's restrictive abortion law was a factor in the administration's review, but White House officials said that was not the case. They even had the DOD Inspector General do an evaluation of the selection process. He issued a 120-some page report, and it determined that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the selection process. This is valid, all these things. But even at the end of the day, Biden rescinded it. But what's interesting is if you go and look at the initial timeline for this base in Huntsville, Alabama. It was expected to be open and ready around 2026, with Peterson, Colorado Springs serving as the provisional headquarters until then. So the original plan was they weren't going to open this base for Space Command until 2026. Colorado Springs is going to serve as the provisional headquarters until that time. And I'm pretty sure, let me pull up this original story again. Where's that? Dang it, one of these stories, I must have accidentally exited out of it. The base is still on schedule to open in 2026. And this is why I said it was like kind of a devoproof, something we'll either talk about tomorrow or more so maybe even on Saturday, because me and Chris have been going back and forth on this a little bit this morning. The fact that it's going to play out exactly the way it was supposed to originally. You just have to kind of accept that Biden's presidency was fake. And it doesn't reverse anything meaningful in any way. That's the way Chris Paul phrased it. And so again, we'll talk about it later. Like, if anything, the schedule is going to end up being finished ahead of schedule. It's fascinating. So yeah, minor devoproof there. We'll talk about it more on the DPH. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to add to this. So I think we're good there. But yeah, that's the big story from the day. This is the second big story. A judge rules that Trump violated federal law with National Guard deployment in Los Angeles. A federal judge in Washington has ruled that President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles during immigration protests violated federal law. Judge Charles Breyer found that the administration crossed legal limits by sending troops to accompany federal agents on immigration raids. The decision came after California filed suit, arguing the deployment breached laws barring the military from enforcing domestic policy. Attorneys for the administration countered that the Posse Comitatus Act did not apply, saying the Guard members were mobilized to protect federal officers, not to enforce immigration laws, and that the president acted under separate legal authority. Now, there is let me see if I can find, here. There's another story to kind of go in conjunction with this. This is from over on CNN. I mean, it's the same story, but just more context. The ruling from Breyer, who held a multi-day trial last month over Trump's use of the military in the state, comes as the president is weighing whether to send National Guard members to other cities, including ones in California and Illinois. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have stated their intention to call National Guard troops into service in other cities across the country, Breyer wrote in his 52-page opinion, thus creating a national police force with the president as its chief. The evidence at trial established that defendants systematically used armed soldiers, whose identity was often obscured by protective armor, and military vehicles to set up protective perimeters and traffic blockades, engage in crowd control, and otherwise demonstrate a military presence in and around Los Angeles. In short, the defendants violated the Posse Comitatus Act, Breyer wrote. In an effort to stave off further violations of the Posse Comitatus Act in California, Breyer blocked Trump and Hegseth from using troops there for arrests, apprehensions, searches, seizures, security patrols, traffic control, crowd control, riot control, evidence collection, interrogation, or acting as informants. The judge paused that part of his ruling until next Friday to give the administration time to appeal. And if I'm just being totally honest, this is bullshit. I don't think it's going to hold once it gets to Supreme Court, because this will undeniably be challenged by the Trump administration. And yeah, he is looking to roll out the National Guard across the country to help with the police force. He's hinting at, like, look at some of his Truth Social posts. We've talked about this before. This is no surprise. But this was just this morning, or no, yesterday. Today's the 2nd. As President of the United States of America, I am pleased to announce that Rudy Giuliani... Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the one I meant. And yeah, this was this morning. At least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far. Pritzker needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast. Just like I did in D.C., Chicago will be safe again and soon. Make America great again. And then here again, Chicago is the murder capital of the world. It's just ridiculous that they are trying to stop this. I mean, it's nothing new. Let me look up this Judge Breyer. Hold for processing. Yeah, nothing new. Trump is trying to like fix things, and these Democrats and these judges and these lawyers and the NGOs and all these people are doing everything they can to stall and stonewall Trump at every turn. Every turn. And so this is what was expected. This lawsuit started, I think, back in July. Gavin Newsom's like, oh, we won right away, and then it was just like a delay, and then Trump's side won, and it's back and forth. It's lawfare. But this judge was nominated by President Bill Clinton. He's generally associated with the liberal wing of the court. No surprise there. So we'll just kind of have to wait. Oh, that's the wrong Breyer. Hold on. Hold for processing. Wrong Breyer. I'm looking for this Breyer. There we go. Charles Breyer. Oh, he's Jewish. Is there a surprise there? We'll talk about. There's a story on that on Israel here in a little bit. Who nominated him? There you go. Bill Clinton. There he is. It's ridiculous. But we'll see what happens. Trump's going to challenge it. SCOTUS is going to, as Bay Arthur's Dick here says, SCOTUS needs to grow a pair and rule on this judicial overreach already. Where do these douches come from, says Bravest. Ricky Irish, what's the over-under on how many weeks it takes for the National Guard to make a murder-free week impossible in Chicago? I say the line should be 3 weeks. I'd bet on that. It's interesting. Interesting thought. I don't think it'd take that long. Look what we did in Washington, D.C. And I mean, once you get the worst ones out of there, it shouldn't take that long. Old Rusty says this shit is getting old. I would agree with that too. And this is the part that's frustrating. Like we talk about this where it's like we believe there's something bigger going on, and Trump has not only the consent of the governed, like from a majority of this country who are Trump supporters, to like do whatever he needs to do to get this shit over with, like just wrap it up already. He has the consent. I think he also has the legal authority to do whatever he needs to do. And that goes as far as like he had the legal authority to implement something like devolution. He has the legal authority to expose the election fraud and fix it. Like he has the legal authority to rip the Band-Aid off on so many of these different scenarios. Why doesn't he do it? And to be honest, I don't know. Like we can only speculate on that. But this is one of those things. Like there are people dying every day in some of these major cities, at least we're told, and I believe it to be true. Like Chicago's always been a war zone. These Democrat-run big cities they've always been like this. They're crime zones. They're terrible. I used to love going to Minneapolis and going to like sports games and Twins games and just doing whatever down there. I'm like afraid to go. I'm going next weekend or this weekend, right? Yeah, that's this weekend. Oh man, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. I'm going there this weekend, and like low key, I'm like a little nervous because it's just not what it used to be. It's these Democrat-run cities, they suck. And so let's go. Let's fix this already. And maybe my interpretation of where I think the percentages are of the population who are supporting Trump and supporting what he needs to do. Maybe I'm off on that. I've always thought, even going back to 2020, it was closer to like 75-25. I mean, that was probably a little high, but at least by now it's got to be. And is he just waiting for the consent percentage to go even higher? Does he need 80, 20? Does he need 90? I mean, the numbers we get in the media are false. The numbers you get from any polls are false. Trump's support is huge. But maybe I'm just biased in that because I never interact with liberals, ever. Hardly ever. I was actually talking to my neighbor over the weekend. He works at an engineering firm. He's actually it's interesting. He does what is it? It's a role where he basically like interacts with liberals all the time. Like his field, it has to do with environmental impact stuff. but he's like based. And so like he got into his job because he loves the outdoors. He loves hunting. He's conservative. Like he's all those things. He's like the other people that get into this world are people that are like into climate change and woke shit. So he's constantly competing against them. And he says he interacts with liberals all the time. They exist. I don't get that. I'm in like a bubble because the people who are here following my show, the people in Badlands, like we're all America First Trump supporters. None of us are insane. I mean, there are people in our movement that are a little insane, but in different ways. So maybe that's why my interpretation of where the numbers are in this country are so, maybe they're skewed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is close to 50-50. I don't know. But for whatever reason, it's sure has taken a long time to move the ball down the field. And I think it's taking longer than it needs to. But that's the game Trump is choosing to play. We could go for the Hail Mary with no defense, or we could just run it up the middle and trip over ourselves all the way up the field. And speaking of football, hence the football metaphor, the football is kicking off this week. I joined another fantasy football league, the Badlanders Fan One. Tattoo teacher, I have been called insane. I've been called insane too. I've been called lots of things. A lot of people call me names, and they're typically lying. Unless they're good names. I just turned down an interview with a full-blown DEI company. No way, Jose, not for me. Bart Tracy. Was the guy's name really Jose? Or was that a phrase? Might be 50-50 Minneapolis. Could be like, I just don't know. I wish. And this is the thing. I think Trump knows. Like, I think based on the data they have, because Palantir has all of everybody's data, right? I bet they could actually, they have to. They know exactly what the political ideology is of everybody in this country based on their data. As long as they have a phone or access to the internet, they can figure that out. They know. So I would love to see that someday. Because a lot of the things they're doing, I believe they're doing knowing they have the consent of the governed. And that's like why they're doing half of it. And why at the end of the day, I think a lot of these things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. And the Supreme Court's going to rule the way they're supposed to. He's doing the things that are constitutional. He knows that the people want him to do it. And so when these challenges come up, it makes the left and the other side look crazier than they just look crazy. Generally, they're panicked. Spetzel says, I'm not positive we're at 70-30, but I am convinced we're closer to that than 50-50. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Jill Strickland, too. If the truth about everything came out, I think 95% would be on the same side. I don't know if it's that high. I think some people will live in denial for a while, but we do at some point need the truth of all this stuff to come out in order for us to heal as a country. Like there is a healing process we need to go through to get to the other side of this. And that's not going to be a very fun process, I think, to go through. Like healing and recovery typically, I mean, sometimes it's smooth, it's easy, it's quick. If you got the right drugs, especially. But we're going to be going through a healing process at some point. And I don't think we're going to be very heavily medicated for it. And it may not be pretty, but it's necessary. We got to do it. Crimson Tide, John, what do you think of the silence of Jeff Sessions' testimony? No pick, no nothing. At least we're told he did it, unlike Robert Mueller. Mary Victory, doesn't matter if the truth comes out. If the mainstream media ignores it, then so did the libs. I got to imagine there's a workaround for that, and Trump and team have thought of it. Like there are certain things that the mainstream media can't not cover. You know what I mean? Even if they spin it in the wrong direction, like if let's just hypothetically say they end up arresting Barack Obama. I don't think that'll actually happen, but let's just hypothetically say the mainstream media isn't going to ignore that story. They'll spin it as like Trump going after his political enemies, but they're not going to ignore it. So I do think there are stories that they will have to cover. And there's only so many lies you can tell about some of this stuff before your audience starts to recognize how full of shit you are. Jess Koch says, Trump could cure cancer, give everyone $1 million stimulus check and a car, and there are liberals who will still never support him. They take the handouts, though, for sure. For sure. Lance 2002, that's what we truthers are here for. Psychological healers. I like that. I do like that. Stages of grief, says Bravest. Yep. Anyway, let's we'll keep plugging away here. What do I got next for you guys? To the National Guard story. This is an interesting one. We've talked about the ODNI reforms, and I haven't covered this specific story yet. And I'm working on potentially getting an interview guest on this, which would be a really cool interview if he agrees to do it. He says he's interested. I can't say the name yet. He says he's interested. He's just got to check on a few things, but we'll see. But he sent me the story, and this is important. ODNI reforms to disband cyber threat intel unit. ODNI is consolidating the functions of the Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center at the National Intelligence Council. The decade-old Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center is on the chopping block as part of its cuts at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So this is a good move. Under the ODNI 2.0 reforms advanced by DNI Tulsi Gabbard, the CTIIC will be among the offices to be disbanded. The ODNI is integrating core functions and expertise from the CTIIC and several other offices into ODNI's mission integration and National Intelligence Council. What these people essentially did is back in 2015, when we know that Obama and them were looking to set up different threat analysis units and intelligence analysis units to skew the intelligence for their own benefit. Maybe it was to cover up their crimes. Like who knows what it was. 2015 was before the mid-year exam stuff started, or maybe right around the same time. And then 2016 is obviously the stuff that we've been going through and the actual mid-year exam. And then you have the Russia collusion stuff where that started with the intelligence, like basically, hey, we didn't find any evidence of Russia collusion, but let's have a meeting. And then on the basis coming out of that meeting, we're going to fabricate and create this entire report just based on Russians' interference in the election. And that's going to be used to kick off all this Russia collusion hoax, the special counsel, Mueller, everything. Like that was all because of bad and fabricated intelligence put forth by criminals, essentially. Well, in 2015, they created this agency, and I think it was in part to assist with what they wanted to do moving forward. Now, at that time, I don't think Trump had announced yet when this came out. February 2010. Didn't he announce in like July of 2015? This is February 10 of 2015. But it's still interesting. Because I think, whoever the candidate was, they probably would have done something similar anyway. They were fishing stories on multiple different candidates and then just honed it on Trump when he became the guy. The Obama administration is establishing a new agency to combat the deepening threat from cyber attacks, and its mission will be to fuse intelligence from around the government when a crisis occurs. It's modeled after the National Counterterrorism Center, which was launched in the wake of the September 11th, 2001 attacks, amid criticism that the government failed to share intelligence that could have unraveled the Al-Qaeda plot. And this paragraph right here, a sentence, knowing what we know now after Codex 9/11, is rather hysterical. But they talk about the series of significant cyber incidents, which I don't trust that any of these were Russian. I don't trust any of this shit. And that's deserved. These people have earned our skepticism based on what they've done with intelligence over the years. But they use this as a basis to create this agency, the CTIIC. They used the Russia stuff in 2016 to make our election infrastructure, critical infrastructure. And that eventually led to the creation of CISA as a standalone agency. I wonder if we're going to get that disbanded at some point. But anyway, DNI Gabbard is consolidating this, disbanding it. It's a good move. I'm hoping to get somebody on to discuss it. I'll let you know if that ends up happening. Next story here from Justin News. So Justin News has been at the forefront of a lot of the disclosure stuff. And they had this story out there today. And what I find interesting about this isn't a new story. And so I think we're going to get an update to this soon. And I'll show you what I mean here. Intel watchdog ignored Russiagate whistleblowers' reports of abuses by spy agencies, new memo shows. The same intelligence community watchdog who aggressively pursued a dubious complaint that triggered the Ukraine impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump reportedly ignored a whistleblower's evidence of the intelligence community's abuse of authority in the Russiagate scandal for years, according to newly declassified memos obtained by Just the News. In fact, the Intelligence Community Inspector General's office even told, where'd that go? Here we go. Even told the Russiagate whistleblower it believed there may be merit to his claims, but couldn't figure out how to alert federal prosecutors to his evidence of possible criminality, the memos show. At the 2022 meeting, the ICIG staff stated to me for the first time that the ICIG lacked a mechanism or authority to convey potentially relevant whistleblower information. Okay, so like I said, this isn't new. The memo that they're talking about is this one. 19 pages. This was released back on July 28th of 2025. And this is the one with the Durham aspect, which I think is the most important part of this entire whistleblower statement. Right here in sub-issue 1, where this guy is like, he was tasked with finding Russian interference in the election. Him and this other guy, and here, look at this, the cyber threat. I was tasked by blank to partner with DHS analyst assigned to the Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center, which is now being disbanded. So interesting that those two stories are kind of colliding right now. They were looking into it. They found these pings on the IP addresses. And then once they reported it, they're like, yeah, shut this down. Don't look into this anymore. And then later this guy's like, hey, Durham, I think what you're investigating was what I was looking into. He found the Rodney Joffe stuff. I've talked about this before on the show. I've posted about it. I've talked about it in the Power Hour. This is a huge story that's been largely overlooked. But there's this little spot here, see enclosure 3, possible DNS manipulation. This wasn't released with this, and it still, to date, has not been released. And so I think the fact that this story is coming back out over a month later, basically saying the same thing, is they're drawing attention to this whistleblower. And I think in the very near future, we're going to get maybe enclosure 3, which would be awesome. But we're going to get more based on this whistleblower. So I think that is interesting. Does that make sense? The bunny says they always ignore whistleblowers if it goes against the preferred narrative. Then they fire and ruin the whistleblower every single time. It's kind of hysterical that they say, like, they have a whistleblower thing, but there's no mechanism to convey whistleblower information to relevant authorities. Like, what's the point of having a whistleblower line at all? Makes no sense. But Mr. Attire says that totally makes sense. What I said, what they say doesn't make sense. So yeah, interesting stuff. I think we're going to see more on this. If we get enclosure 3, I'm going to be pumped. And I was asking for that for a while. Actually, I might even have a Twitter post on that I can show you. Hold for processing. Maybe I don't have a Twitter post on it, but I said it on the show. Oh, I spelled enclosure wrong. Oh, right here. Yep. August 1st. DNI Gabbard should unredact the name that shut this whistleblower down and declassify enclosure 3. There it is. I was right. I did have it out there. So I hope that's what's coming, but we'll see. Treasury yields jump on prospect of U.S. having to refund tariff money. 30-year yield tops 4.97%. So with the whole court ruling on the tariffs, the challenge is going to the Supreme Court. But with the news of that, Treasury yields have jumped on Tuesday to begin September trading as a court decision knocking down most of Trump's tariffs raised the prospect of the government having to repay the money already brought in, stretching an already stressed U.S. fiscal situation. Could you imagine? Like, originally I was just like, okay, it's kind of BS that they're going to try to cancel the tariffs, even though I could see the argument that Trump having the authority to do so is unconstitutional. They're the delegation authority. We talked about this on Saturday's Power Hour, so go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But having to refund it now, it would be insane in terms of like potential red pilling moments. Like, so the argument here is Congress is the ones that's supposed to be implementing these tariffs. We've brought in a whole bunch of money. The court comes in and says, no, you can't do that, Trump. And Trump's like, expose it. Like, hey, we can do this if we want to as a country. Like, this can be the way things are done. But now it's just up to Congress to do it. Will they do it? Probably not. But then on top of them, like, not doing what Trump already proved can be done, we have to refund the money that we already brought in. Like, that's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. I don't know why I opened this story, but I'll just read the headline. Man charged with murder after a ding-dong ditch shooting leaves an 11-year-old boy dead. It low-key reminds me of one time, this is like months ago. I have it on video, though. I was sitting here in my office working at night. My kids weren't here, luckily. But all of a sudden, I hear this loud banging on the door. And I go upstairs, like, and I was like freaked out, like somebody trying to break in. Am I getting swatted? Like, what's going on here? So I did grab my pistol, but I was like scared to even pull it out because what if I'm getting swatted and they see a gun and I get shot or something? But I look at the door and like nobody's at the door. And then so I go outside and nobody's there. I'm like, what in the world? So then I pull up the security camera and somebody like basically ding dong ditched me without ringing the doorbell. They just knocked and ran. It was some kid. He's like super creepy. But I wonder what happened here. It just like made me think of that. Like if somebody was like knocking on the door and I go and open the door and they're like there and scare me, like what if my reaction is to shoot them? They're on my private property, shouldn't be there. They have no reason to be there. But this person is charged with it. So I think they must have tracked him down. His address matched the address where someone fatally opened fire. Oh yeah, the witness described as running away from the house when he was shot. So that's a little different. Yeah, probably don't want to do that. But don't ding dong ditch. Teach your kids not to ding dong ditch. It's a scary prospect. China and Russia sign agreement to build power of Siberia 2 pipeline. So we get exposure on the Nord Stream pipeline last week. We're told a little closure on who bombed that, even though I don't believe it. And now Russia's just moving right on to the next one. China and Russia have signed a deal to build the power of Siberia 2 pipeline, a project poised to reshape global energy flows. Russia announced the agreement Tuesday during President Putin's meeting with President Xi Jinping in Beijing, with the two sides signing a legally binding memorandum of construction. Mongolian President Kurlasuk Ukna also joined the trilateral talks. Negotiations will now turn to financing the pipeline and finalizing the commercial terms of the supply. Gazprom CEO Alexei Miller, head of Russia's state-owned gas company, said adding that the company will release those details separately. The pipeline, which will transit through Mongolia, could carry 50 billion cubic meters of gas per year from Russia, is expected to operate for 30 years once completed. Crazy, huh? They say it's ding dong ditch, but they use their feet to hit the door. That's not cool. That does sound like somebody's trying to break into your house. Like, as a homeowner, that would be kind of scary. It is scary. It's kind of happened to me. Imagine if I was like, if my kids were home and I was like at the kitchen table or something, or even in the entryway and that happened. My reaction would be self-defense and preservation. First of all, just don't ding dong ditch. I used to ding dong ditch when I was young. I used to do worse than that. I used to like, I don't even know if I should say it. We used to egg cars. And just we were so stupid about it. Like we weren't out. We never drank. I never drank in high school, like growing up or anything. I didn't drink until my winter break of my sophomore year of college. So we got into other shenanigans. We would like sneak out of the house to go biking, stupid stuff like that. Like literally just go ride our bikes around. It's so dumb. And then when we finally got cars, we would drive around and we would go to our friend's house though. And it started with like egging, and then it got into like, okay, well, let's go buy a pack of hot dogs and we'll tape it to his car. And let's get a construction cone and tape it on top of his car. And then one time we sticky noted the entire car. So the entire car was covered in sticky notes, or put shaving cream on the windshield, like stuff like that. We were dumb. But I never got shot at. So I was doing something right. Ooh, this is an interesting one. So Trump says Israel once had total control over Congress, but has weakened. President Trump told the Daily Caller that Israel's once powerful influence on Capitol Hill has diminished, saying Israel was the strongest lobby I've ever seen, They had total control over Congress, and now they don't. The timing of this is interesting with the MTG stuff and kind of criticizing AIPAC, and it's just interesting timing for Trump to say this. And it's a good thing because I think he's known this the whole time. His approach and handling of the whole Israel situation, well, first of all, it's such a divisive topic. And I think Ghost has nailed it, which, by the way, I think Ghost is probably going live today. Isn't that on Tuesdays? Yeah. So he'll be live after this. We'll rate a show. But I would encourage you to tune in because I'm sure he's going to talk about this. But those who know Ghost, he's been pretty spot on about this. He says he's acknowledged growing skepticism among younger Republicans, citing polling that shows support for Israel slipping. Yeah, I'm aware of it. He said, nobody has done more for Israel than I have. But today doesn't have that strong of a lobby. It's amazing. He pointed to the October 7th attacks as a turning point. October 7th was a truly horrible day. You have people that deny it ever happened. They're deniers. You have people that deny the Holocaust ever happened. He added, they may be winning the war, but they're not winning the world of public relations, and it is hurting them. And this just makes me think of what Burning Bright says. Don't tell him I am citing him here. But when he says, like, the war is the story is the war, like, they may be winning the actual war, but in a lot of ways it doesn't matter because they're not winning the narrative war. Trump reflected on the shift in political climate, saying there was a time where if you wanted to be a politician, you couldn't speak badly. But today, you have AOC +3 and all these lunatics, and they've really changed it. If you go back 15 years, probably that's when it started. Israel was the strongest lobby I've ever seen. They had total control over Congress, and now they don't. So remarks come as allies like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. Steve Bannon questions whether Israel is a trustworthy U.S. partner. These are good narratives to be coming to a head here, and Trump acknowledging this is a huge shift, in my opinion. And I think it's not. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is coming like right on the heels and basically at the same time as Trump's shifting narrative on COVID. I wonder if those two things are connected. There was actually, I should show you guys this here. I think it was last night or maybe it was last Friday or something. Alex Stein went on Timcast and like they're framing it as he had a meltdown, but I did watch the full thing to get like more context, like just the full 10-minute thing. And the girl that he was like yelling at here in this video I'm about to show you, she was annoying as hell. I would have yelled at her as well. I would have probably thrown things at her. And look at the sticker. Ridiculous. So they're framing this as like Alex Stein has a meltdown, blah, 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 blah. He was talking about like how Ghislaine Maxwell is and her father are connected to like Mossad and Israeli intelligence. He's talking about the...
His best friend was at it!
Jeez, it just scared myself. I didn't mean to actually click that. Holy shit. He's talking about the recent Israeli government official cyber guy who was connected to pedophilia. And like this lady was just like denying it and like defending the Israeli regime. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I would say neither side looked good here. Interesting exchange for sure. You guys got to check it out. I'm going to play it. He's like screaming though. It's hilarious.
His best friend was at his house all the time.
I swear.
So who's hanging out with the prime minister? Who's hanging out with the prime minister of the country? So you're not just Joe Blow.
Take it down.
No, I just get so mad because you guys are just so thick. It's like
just because we don't agree with you, chill out.
You don't have to agree with me. It's that she's saying that he's hanging out with the prime minister, and you're looking at me like I'm crazy because I think that he might work for the government if he's hanging out with the prime minister. You're the one gaslighting me. I'm not the crazy.
I'm not gaslighting anyone.
I can't see the force. His best friend was at his house all the time.
No, there's. I wish I could find the full exchange of this. I don't like even looking at Alex Stein meltdown, but Alex Stein, Tim Pool, because there's like a 10-minute exchange, and there's something in here that the guy says. Oh, that's from before. Let me see if I can find it. But while I'm looking for that, I want to show you guys this. This is a reminder. Tim Pool and his connection to Bibi Netanyahu, like him getting invited to a private meeting.
Last night I wasn't here. I got late word that I was invited to a private roundtable meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It was under what's called Chatham House rules. For those that are not familiar, this means that you cannot reveal anybody who attended. nor attribute anything to any one individual, as they can deny it, and they would. However, what I love about what the White House is currently doing, when you bring together a bunch of influencers and podcasters who don't know much about journalism culture, whatever you want to call it, not that we respect it tremendously, most people didn't know what Chatham House meant. So with all due respect, it's funny because they bring us into the Blair House, which
Anyway, so you get it. This is the part I want to show you from the guy. I don't even know this guy's name. But listen to what he says here.
Again, this is not gaslighting. This is straight up saying, okay, we don't see things the same way you do. Generally, disagreement around this table is something that we take in stride. This is a very normal thing for people to disagree.
Yeah,
okay, we do not need to go ahead and start screaming at each other like that.
So he says it's a very normal thing for people to disagree on their show. Okay, did you catch that? Let me just rewind it real quick, a little bit further.
Taking stride. This is a very normal thing. Generally, disagreement around this table is something that we take in stride. This is a very normal thing for people to
normal for disagreement. And then let me show you this.
Joe Biden is the president,
an illegitimate president.
And well, as soon as you bring up the election stuff, we are completely obligated to address it. Okay, we absolutely have to. We'll be deleted off YouTube in 2 seconds because of that conversation. And so I think one of the biggest impacts on the 2020 election was universal mail-in voting, not because of any kind of fraud. I certainly think, like what Bill Barr said, yeah, there's fraud. We don't think there's that. Is there enough? And I've not had anybody come to me. You've got wild and crazy accusations from people like Lindell and Sidney Powell. But when it comes to the more like, we want to do a forensic audit, nothing definitive has come out to the point where it's been laid out. And I agree with Mike Cernovich, too. When Trump came out and started talking about all this fraud, it was effectively voter suppression because they convinced people not to go out and vote. So I look at this 2 ways. We've had multiple people on talk about this. I have not been convinced. And then we've also seen the detriment to future elections because of the narrative that there's no point. And I think that is something we need to avoid.
So when there's a disagreement about election fraud, though, that's not allowed. That's not something they generally allow there and do civilly, whatever. No, he just shuts it down and tells them, we can't talk about that because I don't want to get my money taken away. So I just thought it was interesting. Alex Stein goes on. I'd encourage you to watch the full clip. It's in the Badlands Substack. Go to badlands.substack.com. Hit the news brief for today and scroll down to here and give it a look. And I think you'll get Ghost's take on this whole thing too. Another interesting thing here too, I'll just point this out. James Lindsay confronts the high cost of hate. I went from 3 to 15 speeches a month to doing 0. We lost half our subscribers. I'm out of options. I've lost 85% of my income, lost my ability to travel. I'm blacklisted by the admin. Trump is breaking Con Inc., guys, and it is a beautiful sight to behold. Just beautiful. Okay, let's keep going. And it comes at the same time as Israel losing their control in our country. Good stuff. Already covered that story. Apparently, the House members are ready for action on the Epstein files. They're wasting no time laying the groundwork this week for a confrontation with GOP leaders over releasing the Epstein files. We'll see if we get that. I am not keeping my hopes up. Jerry Nadler is announcing his plan to retire. It's time to pass the torch. The guy's freaking 78 years old. He's like 30 years overdue for retirement. The fact that he's won an election at all in the past 30 years is just insane. But yeah, he's retiring. He's probably got some illness. I bet he passes away in the next couple weeks or months, whatever. That's typically what happens when you get a congressman who announces some sort of retirement in the near future. It's because of an illness, and you find out shortly thereafter that they're sick and passing away. Donald Trump posted, as President of the United States of America, I'm pleased to announce that Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York City and an equally great American patriot, will receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our country's highest civilian honor. Details as to time and place to follow. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So he got in an car accident yesterday. We talked about that, and he's getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom now. So that's cool. We do have this. I probably won't play. Well, maybe I will play the whole video. Lisa Cook, the Fed, one of the Fed chairs or whatever. They have proof now that one of the residencies that she declared as a primary residence is actually being rented out to tenants. More proof of her fraud.
Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook has 3 homes and big troubles. She claimed to the banks that she lived at all of them, but real estate records show she listed 2 of them for rent. That's not legal. So Lisa must be living here in Ann Arbor at the 3rd house, right?
The door's dirty. There's a key lockbox right there. There's a white man at the dining room table. It's weird. I don't think she's married.
Hello?
How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. My name's Charlie. I'm a reporter. This house is in the news. I was wondering if Lisa Cook lives here, or do you rent?
Yeah, we're just renting, so you'll have to.
I'm sorry?
You'll have to talk to me.
Okay, you just living here?
Yeah.
Okay, just renting?
No contact.
I'm sorry?
You'll have to talk to the owner there.
Okay, the owner, would you have a contact number? Oh.
There you go. Crazy stuff. Here's a breaking news right now. Pentagon, this is as of 2 minutes ago, authorizes up to 600 military, let me share my screen, military lawyers to serve as temporary immigration judges. Washington Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has approved sending up to 600 military lawyers to the Justice Department to serve as temporary immigration judges, according to a memo reviewed by the Associated Press. Let me see if I can find the Associated Press article. Let's go to AP's website here. Well, what the heck? Why isn't it on here? There we go. The military will begin sending groups of 150 attorneys, both military and civilian, to the Justice Department as soon as practicable. And the military services should have the first round of people identified by next week, according to the memo. That's based. Awesome. Well, guys, I think with that, I'm probably going to wrap her up. That's all I got for today. So unless you guys got anything in the chat that you want me to talk about, I guess we are only at 7 minutes left. No rants I see. So do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. And I will briefly, if I may, if you'll allow it, talk about soft disclosure. Guys, soft disclosure is the Badlands Media lotion brand. We started a lotion brand ourselves to help support our creators, and things are moving along nicely here. We're getting a whole bunch of sales, and the reviews are what are really encouraging to me, because once people try this product, I'm hearing people say they'll never use another lotion again. Zach last night admitted that this saved his marriage. Soft disclosure saved his marriage. That was his own words, not taken out of context. You can go, I posted the clip. Actually, I don't think I posted the clip, but I will post the clip because he said it. Whether it may have been jokingly, but it was still said. And you don't need to know it was a joke. But guys, the lotion is fantastic. I love the unscented stuff. The deodorant, also fantastic. I use the mint stuff. The lemon grapefruit isn't quite, the smell for me. It's more of a chick smell. We're working on some other scents to roll out. Some more. This morning, actually, I requested like a cigar smoke and whiskey scent. If we can make that happen, I don't know if we'll be able to pull that off, but we're going to try. But the scent is even just the second part. It's what this does to your skin. It is so good for you. It doesn't leave you greasy or anything. It actually feels hydrating. I've never considered myself a lotion guy, but I do now. And I'm not afraid to say that it's not gay because it's unscented. So get yourself some lotion, save your marriage. Soft disclosure. Oh, I'm supposed to whisper that. Soft disclosure. Softdisclosure.com. Check it out, guys. Use promo code Badlands. Actually, I should probably tell you where to go to buy it. Softdisclosure.com. Use code Badlands. You get $5 off. I think we're raising our prices a tish coming up here on September 11th or after September 11th. So get it cheaper now. And we're also increasing the lotion bottle size, a couple ounces. So with that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you again tomorrow right here on the Daily Herald, 1 p.m. Eastern. Tonight and today, just stick around Badlands. We've got all sorts of great shows. I could probably go through a few of them. We got Geopolitics with Ghosts, I'll raid that. We got Badlands Book Club, Brad and Abby Live, Badlands Story Hour, going through Lost in Translation. And then tonight we got DEF CON 0. So stick around, guys. It's going to be a good day. Hit that thumbs up, and we will see you next time we see you.
0. 1. Extra, read all about it. 2. 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.